I've been waiting for a bit to do this video, and ever since we got, the release and reveal of Aldoron and his absurdly gigantic dragon self, I've been wanting to do a video just kind of going over, like, how big exactly he is. But I wanted to wait until we had a full body shot of him. I don't want to just kind of, like, every single time something happened, be like, well, I can try and make it out bigger or try and get something a little bit more clear. I wanted to wait, and that's been a while. I mean, Aldoron came out in the manga, like 9 months ago, so that's probably one of my more patient things that I've done. But from that, let's look at essentially like how big that I've gotten him, at least from the last arc, rather, the last whole part of this adventure. So we're gonna start pretty simple. I'm gonna use Natsu as the base side, as the main character. But I want to point out, I'm gonna use him a bit taller than I think a lot of people would generally kind of guess, and that's because the original Natsu, like, with heights, there aren't a lot of, like, straight canon heights. If you use Tono rabbits, but then every single character is so super tall because he's like a midget, but he's like 1.55 meters, but that would put like almost every character like 1.9 meters and taller because he's like half the size of like Kana. Kana's not 3 meters tall, but so I use Natsu as kind of like the base one. And we see where he's at the start of the series. Like, you can not start of the series, end of Edalus, and really see where he is, like, right there. It's only one person in between him and how tall he is to Lucy, versus after Tartarus, he's a fair amount taller than her. He's a fair chunk taller than her at that point. So I'm just going to use him at 1.8 meters. That's not huge. That's what, like 5'10", and so pretty fair kind of going over. A pretty fair kind of starting point. So we'll just look at it and we'll go through the math and we'll make it pretty quick. So here's the first part. I'm gonna be scaling this street, the street when they're on when they first got there. And as you can see, I'm gonna scale Natsu to this gap, and as the math goes, you have Natsu at 45 pixels at 1.8 meters, so 523 divided by 45 times 1.8 equals 20.92 meters as this pretty big street. But as you can see, it's definitely not just like some alleyway. That's a pretty wide area for all these people to be kind of going across. And even like all the main characters right there, you can tell it's pretty lengthy. And there are showing parts of the panels that later you can see, there's some definitely sizable areas within Drasil, well, right-handed city of Drasil. But we're going to start with there. 20.92 meter streets. Pretty big, but big place. Understandable. Next up, we're going to see this castle, and I'll show in a minute why I'm backing up this whole thing with why I think it's this one specifically I'm using. But right at the entryway with it, you look at that whole pathway that those streets were going that I used. It looks like it's big enough to pull carriages, so I assume that this big enough area is going to be where we're going. Not some of these other ones where they look too overly huge, because some of those look like rivers. You can see just to the right of it what looks like a bridge going over it, so probably some waterways. But from that, we have this whole like little castle area, 265 pixels divided by the 7 pixels equaling out to 20.92. So the grand total 791.97 meters. Pretty big, but at the same time, this is like a big walled in castle area. And Drasil is pretty big. Like, it was already noted that it was around the size of, if not bigger than Crocus, and Crocus, as we saw, was pretty big as well. But right there, as we got, so just really quick, I want to show like where I get why I'm justifiably using this one. So if you see, let's see, I think it's this one. Just kind of compare. You see the very large circle portion is the one like right there in the more the right of the panel, as well as this like large platform one. To the far left, you have that the tower with all the little side towers on it, as well as the walled one. It doesn't look exactly to scale in that far larger overarching picture, but very rarely you're going to get like super accuracy with like a shot that's not that important, but obviously important. It's accurate enough that we can use it because it clearly took the layout into everything. So anyway. Let me just close down that and then go to this next part. The rest of Aldoron, as you can see, let me move that actually over a little bit. It's a little bit in the way with the little logo banner for my channel. So 275 pixels with the size of 25 being the castle. So we have 275 divided by 25 times the 791.97. Remember we got that right here, 791.7. But right there equals the size of his wrist, 8,711.67 meters. Pretty big. I'm gonna go kilometers after this because it's easier than just saying, large numbers. This is just 8.71 kilometers in size. And again, huge but understandable because we know how big the guy is, as we've seen. The next, we're looking at the tree trunk of him. This is a panel you could use in an idea of like trying to see how big he is, because you do see the full body, but it's at an angle. If it was directly overhead, then sure, but I wouldn't use it in that case because you're looking at a way that's going to distort the total view of it. It's definitely not going to hold the same level that one would prefer. So from there, we're going to have 84 pixels as the width of the tree, and then 57 being the width of his wrist, 87 being the 8.71 kilometers, equaling out to the width of this tree trunk to being 12.84 kilometers. And then we get to the big stuff. We get to the full size of this guy. So Aldoron, and this one, like I said, it doesn't, the other one shows the full tip of the tail. This one doesn't, but I think this one has just such a easier way to look at it in comparison to like the rest of them, just the full side view and the silhouette as well. It's a great looking panel. I love the way the panel looks, but I'm talking about more about like the way that you can kind of see it. Let me move my my little avatar guy right now since he's in the way a bit, but as it is. So let me pull up the math. You have 530 as the length, and I'm going to add a little bit more because we don't see the tip of the tail. But divided by 36 times the 12.84 equals 189 kilometers. And until we get like a full, like really good panel to show like his full body, head to tail, I think a generous, just to round it up, 11 kilometers, which is less than 10%, almost 5%. Of his length, just added onto that tail tip, that little piece you can see. It's pretty, it should be a pretty considerable like extra bit, but again, only 11 kilometers is not very much. Just to round him up to a solid 200 kilometers in size. That's from head to tail, and yeah, you'd go head to tail. I mean, he's not like a person standing straight up. I mean, this would be, I guess, for him, the way, as on all four legs, it'd be like, getting the height of a person while laying down. You're gonna go for them full length. I guess the easier way would also be like going for like a lot of lizards, like snakes or like alligators and crocodiles. You go from head to tail. I actually have one that's just fun to use because it just shows kind of like a size comparison and just showing him what he's kind of comparable to of what's the elephant from One Piece's name? Zunisha, I think, is like the biggest creature in that so far, canon. And let me pull that up just to show you exactly like how big Aldoron is in comparison to that. So let me get that really quick. Take me just a second. Luckily I have it saved. I didn't have, it's not one of those times where I forget last second and be like, oh crap, let me stall while I scale up something or do some photoshopping to make it look. Because we have the canon height for the Zunisha at like 35 kilometers, I think, total standing. And look at that. And it's not like just height, like it's like, oh, around double height. That's not too crazy, but it's the girth too, because Zunisha is mostly legs. I mean, that's a lot of bone, but just the girth of Aldoron is absolutely massive. So I want to do a couple size videos, and then I want to do the size comparison ones, because if you've seen the one that I did as a reaction, there is that YouTuber that does like, oh, size comparisons of all these things, and he did a fairy tale one that was horrible. I think he said that Aldoron was like 50 to 100 meters or something, and I'm like, no, he's got buildings on him bigger than that. But anyway, this dragon with 5 cities on its back and then a tree bigger than all the cities combined is only freaking like 100 meters or some shit. But anyway, comment below, tell me your thoughts are about this, and tell me how, it's crazy how big he is. I know that there's bigger creatures out there, and Hiromishima's even done bigger with Mother and Eden Zero. But this dragon, being this big was, I think, a bigger surprise. And with Eden Zero, just as a easy comparison, with all the space stuff, it was really cool, but it wasn't. I feel like with the idea of going to space, you were going to see lots of crazy things. With Aldoron's size was just out of like complete nowhere, like how big he is. Because like the biggest dragon before him was like, I think like even before 100 Years Quest, because like it was Mercephobia, he was pretty big. But like even before that, was it Mother Glare? I'm just trying to think of dragons before that, like slightly bigger than a normal dragon. Acnologi was bigger than he's supposed to be in the first one. I think he decided to make it a little bit more smaller and keep all dragons relatively around a similar size. And then, you know, it's like, wow, Mercephobia, look, he's so much bigger than even Igneel. And then you have Aldoron, who's just like, he's bigger than every other creature in this series put together. He's massive. So anyway, big boy dragon pants. Yeah, comment below, thumbs up the video. Really appreciate you thumbs up the video, prefer the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.